Hello, everyone. So, today I'm going to talk about the debt ceiling crisis and how the GOP is playing literally Russian roulette with the world's economy. So, the debt ceiling is basically paying for bills already incurred. Like for a household, your electricity bill, your cable bill, your taxes, your mortgage, every freaking thing, your food, every freaking thing you have to pay every month. That's what the debt ceiling is all about. It's bills that you already agreed to pay. So, yes, the debt is $32 trillion. The national debt is that $32 trillion. Now, being a Canadian, our debt is in billions, not trillions. So, but the United States have 10 times the population of Canada. So we can't compare both of them for that. But the debt ceiling is to pay the bills already incurred. Now, the Republicans want to go and, and be the party of fiscal responsibility. Well, Republicans raised the debt limit, the debt ceiling, 3 times under Donald Trump with no freaking questions asked. Okay? 3 times they'd raised the debt ceiling under Trump. No questions. Oh, we have to cut here, we have to cut there. No, there was none of that under Trump. Okay? So, just to explain something, the federal budget is done for the fiscal year starting there and finishing next year. Okay? So, just to be clear, Biden's year one fiscal responsibility was made by Trump. Fiscal budget was made by Trump's administration. Okay? Just like in 2000 or 2000 and just like the first year of Trump, 2017, the budget was made by Obama. It was in Obama's administration. Okay? So like I said, they raised the debt ceiling 3 times, no questions asked, under Trump. Okay? And Trump's administration is responsible for 25% of the national debt. That's 8 trillion out of 32 trillion dollars just in Trump's 4 years. Imagine that. National debt of $32 trillion over a history of 250 years of the United States. 250 years, $32 trillion debt, and 25% is over 4 years. Wow. Talk about fiscal responsibility. No wonder Trump's businesses go bankrupt all the time. He had something like 6 or 10 bankruptcies, personal bankruptcies, and he's still a billionaire. Some of those bankruptcies must have been very lucrative. Anyway, so the Republicans are literally playing Russian roulette with the world economy. Let's look at the deficits in history of the United States. Okay? So here's picture 1. All right? So Ronald Reagan was elected in 1980. So his first year was 1981. And he had over $200 billion deficit during his administration. It was the first time that was happening, to my knowledge, in the history of the United States. Now, George W. Bush is elected after Reagan and starts in 1989. So he inherited Reagan's last year budget of 1988 to 1989. And during Bush's administration, those 4 years, 3 out of 4 years, he had $200 billion deficits. And when he left office, he left to Bill Clinton let's say he left about a $220 billion deficit to Bill Clinton. Now, if you see Bill Clinton's years, okay, he reduced the deficit every freaking year right up to 1997, and 1998, 1999, 2000, he made budget surplus. So he was actually paying the debt incurred by other previous administrations. And when he left office in 2001, he still had a surplus. So he left George W. Bush a budget surplus. So if the GOP is the party of fiscal responsibility and you're left with a surplus, you should just grow on that surplus, right? Wrong. Because in 2002, 2003, 2004, every freaking year, George W. Bush had the first budget over $300 billion deficit, and then the first budget over $400 billion deficit. So talk about fiscal responsibility. And when he left office, it was the 2008 recession. So economy plummeted, and he left a budget with a deficit of $1.4 trillion to Obama. So Obama had to build back the economy. He had to literally save America's economy, because the 2008 recession, if you remember right, Ford, Chrysler, GM were going to go bankrupt. If the government didn't help those industries, they would have gone bankrupt. No more American made cars. That was the situation in 2008. So imagine today, no GMs, no Fords, no Chryslers. But Obama signed a close to $800 billion bill to save America's economy. So that's why you see all those deficit in the Obama years, in the first years of the Obama administration. But Obama did reduce the deficit every year after that, except in 2016. But he brought back the deficit to about $400 billion. And then 2016, I don't remember what hit there, but he put the deficit back to $600 billion. But again, and then Trump took over, and it was over $600 billion deficit again. But Trump supposedly is a big businessman. He's a brilliant businessman and everything. And he did promise to pay the debt. over 8 years. You don't believe me? Here's the proof. Okay? So Trump said he would pay the debt over 8 years. Well, I doubt that, because it wasn't going that way at all, because 2018 deficit went up to close to 800 billion, and then 2019 it went up close to 1 trillion, and then 2020 COVID hit, and deficit went not over 2 trillion, it went over 3 trillion dollars. Is that how you pay the national debt? Like I said, and like I said earlier, 2021, the budget was made by Trump. So, but Biden has an influence on that budget, because during Biden, when he came in office, he signed executive orders canceling some of Trump's doing, and he started reducing the deficit again. 400 billion deficit reduction in 2021, and $1.4 trillion deficit reduction in 2022. Total $1.7 trillion deficit reduction. But now the GOP wants to talk about the spending is out of control. We need to rein in Biden's out of control spending. What? The out of control spending was under Trump, not Biden. Biden is reducing the deficit. Biden is making Republican donors, the rich, the billionaires, the big corporations, pay their fair share of taxes. And that's what the GOP doesn't like. So as you see, every freaking Republican president, under every freaking Republican president, the deficit's going up. Every time. And under Democrat presidents, funny. Last administration that had surplus was a Democrat. Okay? The biggest deficit ever recorded in American history was a Republican president, Donald Trump. And America, MAGA Republicans want to elect that president again? Again? Are you freaking serious? I'm gonna build the wall. I built the wall. I finished the wall. Bullshit. He built 52 freaking miles. Less than any other freaking president in history. But he said he completed it and it was demolished. Bullshit. Okay? Trump lies as much as he breathes. During CNN's town hall, it was the lies were counted 139 times he lied in 1 hour. 139 times he lied. But MAGA Republicans believe every freaking word he says. So anyway, That was my point. Okay? So Republicans say they're the party of fiscal responsibility. And now they're just gaslighting, and they're playing Russian roulette with the debt ceiling crisis and the budget. They say they want cuts, spending cuts. Fine. Spending cuts are good because you have to balance a budget. You can't spend more than you bring in. It's not fiscal responsibility. But why didn't Republicans think about that when Trump was president? Or when George H.W. Bush was president? Or when Judge H.W. Bush was president? Or even when Ronald Reagan was president? Why? Because doing that when a Democrat president is in office suits their agenda. They're going to lie. They're going to say that the spending is out of control. Well, Trump left an over $3 trillion deficit when he left office. Over $3 trillion deficit when he left office. That's where the out of control spending was. And Trump gave tax cuts to his friends, to billionaires. Trump is a criminal. Trump is a freaking criminal. He's indicted in New York. He's going to be indicted in Georgia. He's going to be indicted in Florida. And MAGA Republicans wants to have that scumbag as president? Give me a freaking break. Until next time, thank you very much and see you soon.